United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. You are.
Thank you.
No.
Oh, yeah, nice.
I think you got YouTube.
Mr. Albrecht.
Here.
Baslow. Here. Day.
Here.
Gurecki. Here. Serrano.
Here.
Wernzak. And Bono.
Here. Yeah, that's one present, John. You should stay here. You should get this notice by heart.
It's not a notice. So we decided so the people at home could see this as well. Because we think it's a very important statement that allows us to do all the projects that we do see from across our desk. The Herkimer County Industrial Development Agency delivers economic incentives to business and industry to diversify and strengthen Herkimer County's tax base and enhance community vitality by supporting job creation, business and industrial development, and community revitalization. We strive to develop the local economy in an organized, sustainable, and environmentally beneficial manner.
All right, thank you. Item number 4, the minutes of November 29th, 2022, regular board meeting are attached and sent to you. Are there any additions, corrections, deletions? Here, I need a motion to accept those minutes. Motion by Roerke, second. Corey. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed? No. Carries. We also have the minutes for 2 meetings for public hearings, one on December 13th, both on December 13th, one for Blue Utica LLC. With a motion to accept those. Motion by Roerke, second. Dave. Discussion.
Bloom Utica, some of it, as I read or heard in the media, didn't quite understand what we were doing there. What we needed to do, because there was an additional $100,000 of support from the IDA, we needed to hold another public hearing to adjust those. We are not giving them any dollars. We are just working with them so they can continue to build that business. We know how things have changed with supply chain and costs and deliverables. So we wanted to make sure and we're staying above and in front of it. So no one attended the public hearing, correct, Stace? I think that one we were completely handled. But once again, we also like to thank the town of Schuyler for hosting that for us.
Any more discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Carried. Last set is the EDF Warrior Solar public hearing. Motion to accept those minutes. Roerke, second. Albert, any discussion? Mr. Peter.
So Warrior Solar Project is a good solar project for our community. It's based on a old landfill located between Utica and Frankfurt. It is not emitting any more gases. There's really nothing else that property could be used for in a beneficial manner. Warrior, the project itself is moving ahead to do a solar that we're awarding our pilot to. I noticed in some areas too, people said, are we giving them pilot benefits, which is a payment in lieu of taxes for real property, for property tax as well as sales tax abatement. So I just wanted everyone to know that. We did have a couple people attend it, including a representative from EDF, but no one asked any questions of us as well. Thank you. And thank you to the town for hosting that one.
Any more discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Carried. Okay, let's go to item 5. The November financials are listed on your pages 11 through 18. Any questions, comments, concerns? John, you want to give us a quick rundown of that?
Sure. First off, I'd like to thank the county legislature again for passing their budget. It's important that we maintain our relationship and that they do support the IDA and the local economy. We requested through our budget, they did award us, so we're very excited about that to continue to market the county. They've also been very supportive in everything we've done, from buying new property and also supporting us with infrastructure. So the legislators that are here, I thank you, and the ones that aren't, thank you very much as well. Without the continued support and not only our budget, but however, and the money that we do for the parks is truly important to the growth that we've achieved. Everything else, we're on track. We don't have anybody late with any type of payments. We are once again preparing for next year. Our closeout for the budget, we're up to November in this one. We'll have everything done for the next meeting. Everything looks very good on budget there. And same way with starting out the new year. So if anybody has individual questions on anything, I'm happy to answer that or happy to talk offline.
Anyone? I need a motion to accept those financials. Serrano, second day, discussion. All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Carried. Let's go to, first agenda item. Higby Gold, the assignment of the lease back.
Well, first off, online, we do have two representatives, I believe, from the project. Garth, who's from Dual Fuels, and then their attorney, correct, Tony?
Yes, Susan King.
Yeah. Good morning, gentlemen. If there's outside, I apologize for not saying that. But yes, I think it's important, as we discussed, that Tony maybe outlines what this is, because as a board, we haven't done anything like this before, assignment of project to another holder. So I think it's important that the whole board has an understanding of that.
In our typical lease back transactions, there are provisos that the property owner develops full title and good benefits for 10 to 15 years. But the documents also contemplate the fact that the property could be leased or that it could be sold. And in that event, there's a question as to what happens with those financial benefits, the pilot, the sales tax. Our documents do provide that on resale. The example I use is a more common scenario. It's with a warehouse company where we develop a shell and it's leased. And we may not know who the end user is, but we want to pass those benefits on to the tenant. The assignment of that lease back allows the tenant to come in, fill those jobs in that case, and derive the benefit of the pilot or what we've rented. In this case, with Higby Gold or Adirondack Beverage, as we refer to it, the project was developed, jobs led, the benefits granted, and the developer now has a potential buyer. And under the terms of our documents, that lease back and the benefits, and in this case, the only benefit of the pilot agreement, will follow that new owner who has to agree to fulfill the obligations under that document. But that can only be done, and it's kind of unique to our agency, only with the consent of the Herkimer County IDA. A lot of other industrial development agencies have full language, but they provide that with consent, which shall not be unreasonably withheld. Our documents have historically been a little more restrictive. We take a wait and see approach. In this case, the developers approached us as a buyer and is looking to pass on those benefits, which in this case are only the remaining pilot payments. There's no more mortgage tax benefit. There's no more sales tax benefit. And the developers are outlined to answer any questions associated with the transaction. It is a complete purchase of the real estate and the business. I think physically you will see no change, although from the submission letter, it looks like the hours will increase and the jobs may increase. I do want to disclose to this board that while there's independent counsel for local gas, who's an affiliate of Fuel Fuels, my office does have a relationship with Fuel Fuels. I've had nothing to do with negotiations. I have no input into what's going on. Simply a matter of agreeing to assign or not assign in this case. And this King with the Hancock offices been representing the family companies in this transaction. So if there are any questions, you can ask them. If you have questions, you may not have to.
Yeah. Once we approve a lease or whatever to develop, do we have any say who can go in there or what can go in there. So we just give them the leash, and that's, we don't. What I'm trying to say is something that we didn't want to happen there, we can't say anything.
We could reject that under our law. We could.
Okay.
Correct. In this case, there is no change of use.
Was anything looked at? Was anything looked at to say if they took it over from ground zero on mortgage reporting tax and any changes they wanted to make that would benefit them, sales tax as well as property tax for the full term of a pilot instead of just taking over this?
I don't think I found your question.
So
Sorry.
why not start over? Why not apply for something brand new? Would the benefits not outweigh what this is?
That's not the way the document structured. The document is structured such that it's an assignment of the existing transaction.
Well, that's their document. However, if they.
Well, that's our document.
Okay, so we couldn't, but they could end their pilot, the current customer. I'm trying to think outside just this realm. So the current customer could end the pilot when they sell it to somebody else?
Well, we would have to refuse.
Okay. Okay, so I mean, we all know that there was jobs in the original pilot that weren't achieved. So by starting a new one, though, they could adjust that number, but right now, the new number, they're have to meet the number that's currently in the pilot.
That would be correct.
Okay, so in March timeframe, we'll be coming to the board with all of our projects and outlining where we are and how we want to proceed with them. So this won't affect this here per se today, but down the road, we will look at all where we are to make sure that all the numbers are there. And one of the differences with a warehouse compared to what Tony talked about, in the warehouses that we are building now, or we did do Pepsi and now we are doing Home Depot per se, or Project Bloom. There was no jobs associated with those because they were strictly builders, not involved with that. So this is a little different right here. So would that be the case still with this, if it was a warehouse too? Only because we've never done this before, I'm trying to get my.
I would say that.
Okay,
How much of the pilot is on?
It was 7 years left.
7 years.
7 years.
and that scales down or scales up, however you want to look at it. They pay more.
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything in terms of the benefit. There's no increase in the benefit. If anything, it's, Johnson, if we reset, it would be 10 years here. This is 7.
But I thought about mortgage reporting tax, and I also thought about the basic scope of the pilot, and if they made any changes to it. So say, in this case, say they did come in and they wanted to add storage tanks and they wanted to redesign the whole structure and do some other things, they won't receive any of those benefits of sales tax, mortgage reporting tax. They would just have that property. Now, they could fight for reassessment lower if they did add things or make changes to it, correct?
Everybody has the right under both the real property tax law and our pilots to read their taxes.
To lower their assessment, so to change their pilot.
Is there any notification to the main tenant or the large tenant that you have right across the way there that could be using that as service for fuel? Should we notify them, or is there anything?
It's
that we have to
the
do?
sale of any business.
That's a good point, though.
It might be good neighborly practice, but there's no legal requirement.
It'll be out. No, I see it.
It's at a limit, like, we know Amazon uses it because they have pictures of vehicles there all the time on social media, but do they have a contract with that?
Anyway, any other questions? I need a motion to accept.
Just abstain. Unless there's discussion.
Corey, second by John Strano. Any discussion further? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? One. Okay, thank you. Passed.
Thank you. Curtis.
Thank you.
It's finance that they have.
Yeah, any comments from from Garth? Or is it Susan?
I think Susan dropped.
On mute, Garth.
Sorry, I was on mute there. No, I appreciate the opportunity to come before you guys this morning. It was a little easier than I thought. I was prepared with some answers here, but no, we're really looking forward to working with the IDA and taking over that site, we think that we will only increase business there and in turn increase the amount of people employed there and the economic activity generated by the site. So we're very much looking forward to it.
Best of luck. You've got a great site there.
Yep.
Yes, before you get off guard, just so you know too, we do have property available in Schuyler that a sister business like this. That's fantastic. And we could probably utilize a tire pilot for that one. And the
Right.
other thing, kind of a personal note, I didn't shop there for anything but gas because they didn't sell Diet Coke. So whatever you can do to change that would make my day a little better. Just letting y'all know.
I know they're very tight with Pepsi right now, but we would intend to offer both brands like we do at our other stores.
Well, you got a customer back then. Thanks.
Good to hear.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no kidding.
Have a good holiday, guys.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on with item number 8. By the way, before we keep going here, there's cookies and coffee there, more espresso. Real cheap there. And
Check your blood sugar.
thank you for the legislators for showing up, and also someone's call. Item number 8, small business loan and the grant funds that we.
No, you skipped
Step
seven.
I'm sorry, the deal. Annual election of officers, new chairs, and auditors, there's 23, so this is our yearly election of officers.
Is that why you went over it?
What do you want to do here, folks? Somebody want to make a motion to, you don't do the right? Do the whole- just take them the whole- Oh, you're gonna have it. But go ahead.
You need a motion to retain the officers as it's there.
Well, the thing though is, John, I haven't had a chance to talk to Mike and we kind of thought we would. And he's retired now, which is fantastic.
Oh, that's great.
However, sometimes it's good that we allow other people who have been here a little bit to move up into these positions. Not that it's a lot, but there's other things that they're involved with too.
Understand?
And I did speak to Director Growecki, and she would be interested if we make that decision to maybe move Mike down into a director spot and move her up into treasurer. So that would be one of the things. I think everybody else, you're still content with serving. correct?
I'm very content. Look at me.
Yeah. Agreeing with envy. But,
I'm gonna ask for a raise, but
and Corey said he would be, and of course, Mr. Bono. So, I mean, it's up to you all.
I signed no contract.
That I mean, if I could vote, I'd vote.
should
for
we
you.
vote on it without? Offering to Mike?
No, because he hasn't really gotten back to us with anything.
Oh,
So I think retirement's enjoying, he's really enjoying it. The thing is, though, I don't think it's I mean, we can do it on contingent too, that I'll talk to him, I'll try to reach out to him again. We're just not, from the party to this, to that, we're just thinking that. You know, how when you first retire, you don't have anything to do with anybody, so you know that.
I do know that, I certainly enjoy being on this board. I've been on board for a while.
Oh, no.
And to get a phone call and say, oh, by the way, the board voted you out.
Well, not voted you off the board, just not as treasurer
Well,
anymore,
that's
moving
what-
around the position.
I just think that maybe
You always reappoint, if he steps down,
Once you move the slate in and let him step down, then you can realign the board.
Okay.
Or can we do it through an email after we get back?
Well, I'll call him again after this meeting, or try him again after this meeting.
And if you don't get a response from them, then we should go.
Yes.
But I just think that the rest of the board would feel.
I need
Oh,
a
really?
motion. Right, let's move the motion here to,
So that's
accept the current slate.
Treasurer Mike Martin,
Make
yeah.
a change as needed. Tim Day, second by Corey, discussion. All in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay. Carried. And we get to, those revolving loan, the audit, the governance committee, the marketing committee, finance committee, terms.
Yeah. For the marketing committee too, I was gonna ask if he would step down from that and ask Alana if she wanted to sit on that too. If that's okay with the rest of the board, but once again, we'll do what you want to do with that, I'll find out from them.
Yeah, if there's something changes, we'll make that adjustment for them. Okay, well, let's take, the Assistant Secretary Treasurer Stacy, we need a motion to accept her as, in that position. Alana, second by Ann, discussion. All in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay. Carried. In committees as listed, with the current members as listed, your motion to accept those. And second, Tim, discussion. All in favor, aye. All opposed. Nay. Okay. All in favor, aye. And opposed, nay. Carried. All right, congratulations, condolences, whatever. All right, let's go to, item 8, the small business loan and grant funds. We have 2 items, CARES grant and a small business sewer 222 update. So Victoria, take it away.
All right. I am continuing to work with several businesses on their applications, 2 of which are seeking funding for retention dollars. 4 businesses seeking retention dollars to retain employees. They do take a little bit of extra work, and a financial analysis has to occur also, so they do take a little bit more time than if someone were to be adding positions. So in addition to those 2 applications, I'm working with a tourism business, an Old Forge, a professional services business, a manufacturing business, a local restaurant. So we are receiving a lot of interest in the program. It's just a matter of receiving all of the documentation and being able to present it to you all.
We work with choice and not force my partner.
No, it's we helped him with the micro enterprise Adirondack with Craft Camp. He resort, and he also does them in the summer for some.
Is he still involved up there? Jane?
He is, and in fact, the county just approved them as our tourism agency for the county. But we're working with individual businesses on this, not so much, we can't do 501Cs.
Well, I just thought maybe, you know, he would be the. That would be the direction for what we want.
They came to us, we put it out there for this. We continue, we've kind of pulled back on the advertising of this now because of that, the fact that now we're getting a lot of input on it and we might hit our number, we're hoping to. But this grant, there's a lot there's a lot more going on this than there was on our other ones because it is federal funds. And I mean, we constantly talk to our advisor at the state. She's been fantastic too, so, you know, we just know how to best do it.
You said last meeting was 500,000, was the total amount?
Yes.
We pretty much got most of that asked for. Do we know if the grants will work out? We don't know at this point. The great thing is the state steps in and looks at it, so they're gonna give us the final nod. And it'll come to you all as the loan grant committee for review as well.
When do we have to, when's the cutoff for this? I don't recall, I know. it's like
June,
Spring,
June,
it's next June.
No, this,
or
well, yeah.
like
2023
2023.
June.
Yeah.
So what's the cutoff for applications for this? So June is when we can no longer access the money, but is there a cutoff for applications?
We haven't set a cutoff date.
Okay,
No, we're gonna keep them coming only because of the fact that for 2 reasons. One is if the previous ones came in, don't work out,
right.
and we're always applying for more money. So if it doesn't fit into this, we might fall into a micro enterprise grant and some of the other ones that we have.
So can applicants apply right up until June? Is it stamped maybe for their application and?
It's dated on when they come in, but we're not gonna stop anybody now, and if we don't utilize that money, we're gonna reach out to the state and ask for an extension.
Roll over?
As
Okay,
as far as, and it might only be a month-to-month extension, but we don't want to give the money or not utilize that money. We're not giving anything back, we don't give it up front. So
we're gonna roll it over.
we'll try to keep it as long as we can, if we don't get that number.
If someone is accepted, apply.
Yeah, oh yeah, it goes the next one, the next one, the next one. Yeah, so we keep the running list. You know, we've had a lot of people call about it, and then when you tell them and what they have to do, then you never hear from them.
Yeah.
And we've had other grants too. We just received in an application for the 222, which we don't have quite enough money yet. But we'll keep them on file. They're first on the list. And so when that becomes available, we'll move them into it.
In addition to the first come, first serve, there's also a secondary portion to that where we would take priority to someone that had not received federal funding through another program. So the PPP or the EIDL money that was released for COVID assistance. So we would take that into consideration if we were to have to decide between one applicant and another.
Oh, excellent.
And it'll never be on us. It's always on them, the state. That's-
Not on that. Just for the 222, like John said, I did receive an application late last week. I did let him know that there's not a ton of money in the account, but he was still interested in possibly applying for whatever is remaining in the account. So hopefully we can get that through to you all.
I wish there was a way we could replenish that fund.
It has been great.
We can't give that money. The 222 money was started out by Butler and then Seward and given to the county, then given to us to manage that. The
COVID
recovery. I'm sure it could be. Sure it could be.
So they must have had pretty much received that grant.
No, they took it from Sam's money. They could get money. Back in the day, there was money that the state elected, before CFAs especially, were allowed to give so much money for different causes. And, I helped Butler for 2 years and then finally was able to give us 25 to start. And then Seward saw how good and he was able to give us 50. So we've been keeping that money going for, I don't even know how long time. And it's been good because, even though it's only 2,000 loan and a $2,000 grant, that's helped a lot of it. I mean, you drive down the highway, you see where the tanning places, they redid that. You go to PK's, their door, the coolers redone, farms, everybody. Oh,
Said more than that.
yeah. And all kinds of different businesses too, so. And it's not a lot of paperwork, you probably do it too, and we're pretty confidential when it comes to things, so.
Okay, very good. Anything else to?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Item, before we go to
Okay.
we got some people online, and I don't, just as courtesy, I don't want to keep them. We got a bunch of items in front of them, but let's go to item 17. EVF removal, Warrior Solar Partners. Jan, you want to do this? There's an authorizing resolution there, pages 46 to 51. You want to go through that, Ken?
Sure, once again, it's that project we had the public hearing for. It's going on the Brownfield site in Frankfurt. So they have a nice place to tie into the grid. It's a site that really, that's what brownfields like that can be utilized for, and there's really not much else. Public hearing, there was no comment. We did receive, we have done the inducement already. We were waiting, but that came back, right, Tony? So we're ready to move ahead with the project unless Mr. Halleck has any reservations.
I'm good. Like to see it authorized, let everybody know for the fast track. We authorize it today. I anticipate closing within 4 weeks.
Questions? Comments?
The use of land that otherwise.
Need a motion?
Two funny stories. One is that when we were in the planning
I
board,
didn't answer.
the planning board meeting, the elder gentleman in the planning board were afraid that the panels were going to blind them when they were driving by. Because, you're on that 5S and the panel would be certainly in the sun with that. And they're planning board. But I thought it was pretty funny. And then the other thing, there were a couple of old timers from Utica reached out to me wondering how deep we were going to dig. Not saying. anything.
Deep, I got a problem with that.
Well, I'm just saying, we never did find Hawthorne. So.
All right.
We'll-
I need a motion to
We'll
accept
keep
that.
that hush hush, right, John?
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks everyone. Andrea Hart from EDF and Kathy Hake is here as well, and we appreciate your time and efforts this morning. and on an ongoing basis in getting this completed, and we're excited to work together.
Thank you, Andrea. Appreciate it. All right, I need a motion to accept it. Dan, second. Lori, discussion. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Carries. All right, thank you. Ladies, thank you. Have a good rest of the week and good holiday.
Happy holidays all, and thanks a lot.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Just so everyone knows, EDF has two groups. One of them is the smaller project, so these guys are a part of, and then the larger one down in the town of Columbia and Litchfield, that'll be that 350 megawatt project. So,
Is there anyone else? On this? All right, let's go to Aaron Spina show. Martha.
Okay. So I created on our website another page for the harvest facility. It's like a questionnaire for farmers to fill out to get cattle. So I created a QR code that brings people to the page, and it has a lovely cow in it.
just so people know a little bit more, we'll be doing a press release very shortly for the Herkimer meat processing facility. They need to get cattle in process. They'll be doing both beef cattle and dairy. And roughly, from what we've been told, they'll have to be per year at least 86,000 head. So whether they're newborns, a year old, 2 years old, on their way to slaughter. So it won't just be Herkimer County, it's gonna be 16 plus counties. So what was recommended to us from the myself and Mr. Bone and a few others, we were on with their consultants from the Midwest, and that we need to start building up their resources for it. So this one's really the first press release we do. We're working with that firm we hired. That's a woman-owned based company out of Central New York, to get out in front of it, to let people know in that ag business that there's a place that they're going to be able to utilize their cattle.
That's on our website.
Yeah, look,
Yes.
it's a QR code. You gotta love it.
The old thing, so I'm gonna double everything. How do we get this out to the farmers? Not everybody looks at our website, so we go to. That's what they've got a list of.
The press release, working with Cornell, all of that. That's what they're.
And they'll go out to how many?
I can't answer that. As many as Cornell can supply. So that. and so
Statewide, I
then
mean, not just 60, we were told about 6, 7
State and New England.
So
So everyone knows this will be the largest halal slaughterhouse or harvest facility, as the state likes to call it, in the country. And the largest slaughterhouse per se in New York and New England. And the largest halal facility, of course, in New England. And they will ship all over the world.
I guess we're better off letting them do it than us.
We don't want to be in the middle of any of this.
And it gets to the wrong market.
Well, it really can't get to any wrong market. We will start to advertise it too after we announce
So I'm
it.
saying they'll target farmers. You put it on book base and it gets out to everybody, and then the PETAs of the world see it and then we get nailed by them.
That was me.
Oh,
Sorry, I turned it off.
They already know about this.
Don't need me
I'm not-
either.
I'm
You
not
don't?
worried about them, and I don't think we should work. If
Oh, no,
your cousin owns a farm in Vermont and you live here and you see this, you're gonna send it to your cousin in Vermont. Butchering it in a halal way doesn't change the eating of the product. It's just the way that it's processed. So it actually opens more markets. But anybody can eat the way that it's done. It's not grass, it's not anything special. It's processed that way. So it's targeted towards the Muslim religion, but it will sell to everyone.
John, they'll only do beef.
Yes, at this facility. Their other facility, I don't think they've ever done pork, but their other facility, they'll do lamb and sheep, and they're really not doing many goats either, but lamb and sheep, they're very they're very big into because of that market as well. New York City, they have a huge influx, but they're gonna work locally to support some other things as well.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
We apply a marketing component like this to similar businesses that we're carrying forward benefits to? I guess I haven't seen that, so I'm just wondering like what projects do we, because we're kind of helping them out with that, correct? Or
I'm so sorry, I'm missing what you're saying, so. I
so
don't,
we're doing a press release, we're contracting with that specific company, and it was in the last packet, I can't remember the name. Do we do that for other manufacturers that we help develop in our business parks?
well, it's gonna be on the size is one thing. This will be about $180 million project. 195,000 square feet. We did a market economic and impact on the property. It's not complete yet. But what it's doing for the economy, not only in Herkimer County and the village of Dolgeville, but the surrounding counties as well. We haven't moved on the price of our property or our administration fee. So when you take a look at that and what we will be supplied as an administration fee, I think that's what will help attract everything. So have we done this with other things? Yes, the dual bowl.
Yeah.
When we go into executives session later, we're going to talk about a company we met last week that we will probably do a lot of the same things for as well. Actually, two of those companies. So, I mean, yeah, but, however, if somebody's looking at property or trying to dissect a market, we would love to talk to them about that. That is some things we can spend our money on. So even if it's a smaller business in a certain area and they're looking to expand by buying a bunch of properties and they want a phase one done on it or something, we're happy to do that. Even though now we have a grant, but before, because that's money that we can utilize for that. It's hard for us we can't get grants or loans, but we can help them get over that hurdle. And a lot of times, people who are looking to sell too, if we do the phase one, it's a little more receptive for them. Phase two, of course, we have to report everything, but we would really, yes, and we would like to help out. And we think too, and I've talked to Jim about this a lot too. The BOA grants, for example, that we're doing in these communities, we can see other impact studies and other things done to help change some of that as well. So, but if any ideas or you're dealing with customers, or if you know somebody that has a potential in a certain area and wants to see something, whether it's what can the grid handle in that area? If we have to hire a consultant or with the National Grid or independent utility, whatever that is, we're happy to do that.
No more counts. So for our Brownfields Developer Summit in April, I created a flyer to send out to the speakers and a flyer for sponsorship opportunities.
So this will be our second year for our Brownsfield Development Summit. We bring people in, Assemblyman Small, and you were there last year. It was successful all around. We're very excited to redo it. We're very excited to host it here in Herkimer County. And we're going to talk about the sponsorship opportunity down the road here. But we needed to, after our first year, now we know what we see, and we needed to up our game a little bit with getting sponsorships and handing things out and getting some more of the speakers that can really attract developers, because that's who we want here. And so it's moving ahead quite nicely. It'll be in April, and we're trying to make everything uniform now instead of one person in charge of sponsorships, and that looks nothing like what we're handing out as far as the day goes. So
How far is that draw, John? Is that just here in the state, or is it?
all of New England, all of New
All of
England.
New England.
I think we had someone from Maryland last year too. And what happens is we draw on the people we meet, all of us in the 6 counties in our region, plus the consultants that are here, they bring a lot of people in too. So it's worked out quite well for us, actually.
Okay, so I have some marketing goals for the new year. First one is to increase our brand awareness, which would be through like sponsorships and conferences or just more social media posts. increase website traffic. I would prefer to do that through using more QR codes on like flyers and stuff that I make. We're gonna start a quarterly newsletter. I'm going to learn constant contact, make more press releases, schedule out the featured businesses, and per John's request, do some Dale Carnegie classes.
Dale, it's not Dale any longer. But however, it's a great way, and I started with a lot of those type of classes too. So it might not be Dale per se, but it'll be something that gets you out there more into a lot of networking and understanding.
Well, that's the end of my presentation. So the next.
So this is probably one of the best EPA grants we got for development, and it's not all, we emailed this to you, right, Victoria? This got emailed to everybody. This by far, and I'm not kidding you, by far, one of the best ones that we've ever done by an independent consultant that works for the EPA. And that's what the dual fold site could look like. I mean, is that not amazing? And we're working with a current developer now. We're hoping that they love this, by the way, this report. They were very happy when they got it. We're trying to make some things happen there. But this was a $100,000 grant that we received from the EPA to do this type of presentation. And I'll tell you, you know, these are the type of things that we need to do to attract, not just locally, but, you know, all over New England and all over New York State. So when you get a chance, please look through this, and any comments or questions you have, please reach out. But we had two gentlemen in, one from Cambridge, Mass, and one from San Francisco to support us with this. And believe it or not, they came in and said, you know, we really want to look at Section 8 housing. And from everybody just pushed back on them and said, no, we have enough of that here in the area. We need some workforce housing and some differences to happen here. And because of this location, it really does prove to be beneficial to make some of those changes there. So, but if you get a chance, please look through it. You know, close to the canal, excellent resource, and we think something will happen with this very soon.
Let's go to item 11, Moline Associates, impact study, it's on 24-26.
So we did vote on this on through email, but we need to ratify it. The reason why I'm not handing it out just yet is they have a chart that they're finishing up now that'll be added to this that really does outline the overall impact. But this really does help promote other things that we'll need for grants, infrastructure, bringing in ancillary companies, packaging companies, making that community or somewhere close, look at hotels, restaurants. The amount of equipment that they're going to have here, they're going to need to have some type of extended stay or rooms nearby, because you're going to have you know, people from those manufacturers of the equipment here. You're going to have buyers come in from all over the world. It's really going to change the dynamics of that area and make it, once again, more of an active community, like when Daniel Green was in place. So we just need to vote to push this through, and we should have that chart hopefully by the end of this week. If not, it'll be the 1st of January, because they're closed next week. But it's a very good read. Moline is well known throughout the industry. Of the study,
Well,
for 8,000. Well, we already voted. It's just a ratify.
Okay, so motion, Leanne, seconds. Tim, discussion. On favor, aye. Any opposed, nay. Carries. Go to the sponsorship for the Brownfield Developers Summit.
So this sponsorship that we would like to do, because we are the host community, it'll be very similar, Jimmy, to what we did for site selectors. Well, because you were standing right up to me the whole time there. So as you can see on the bottom of the sheet, it's $2,500, which will include all the beer, the food, the beer, the wine, and like a specialty hertini type of thing. And we're figuring about 120 people. So we think that the diamond mines will just be opening then. So you can see on the same sheet that they're going to have their campgrounds available for people to stay in as well. We're also gonna have a shuttle service running from the Red Roof, where that's the hotel that we booked pretty solid for this, back and forth, so people won't have to drive. Also, they're giving a deal on the next day to dig diamonds as well, because a lot of people involved in the brownfield stuff are geologists, so we thought that was a pretty cool twist. So I think we're gonna get a lot of people into this, and I think it's gonna to truly help out our community. One of the brownfield conferences I went to, I did meet developer there that was a lot larger and not just only in the brownfields, and I think we would have had something different if COVID didn't hit. But these are good opportunities for us to once again get on the map, let people know what we can do. We noticed that there are some other brownfields becoming available, like Charlestown and some of the other sites. So we think this is a wise investment for us to do.
Okay. Need a motion for Dan, second. Line, discussion. The right, I'm gonna post name.
And of course, you're all mandated to attend.
Put that in there. Do we have to camp too?
Glam.
Glam.
Yeah, we're glamping, yeah.
You?
Yeah, mine has a butler, just so you know. I don't know whose house is
Mark is
staying,
gonna be there for it?
but I got a butler. Yes, Mark will be there. He will be there.
Item
Mr.
13.
Belvin here.
Can't make it.
School. Pine Grove Road School, reuse and planning, 28-30.
So this is not,
Expound.
so this is not unlike other things we're doing throughout the county. The East Herkimer School on Pine Grove Road is kind of in disrepair. People haven't been utilizing it except for kids breaking in. It needs some updating there. It's in a nice residential community, plus there's other things going on in the area. The town is stepping up to purchase the property. We are in the process of doing a phase 2 study. And we're looking to hire Weston and Sampson to come in and do a planning study. Because we all know, after we've been doing this for quite a while now, that Ann's thoughts on making it a senior center, and Alana's making it a daycare, and Corey's making it a thing for the youth that don't go anywhere anymore. We all know that we need to really take a look at things and see what can really fit into the area. This firm is well known for that. I have talked to other people that have utilized them, and I think it's a good step forward to go. One of the things that we can go back and help out communities with. I also think it might tie into that brand new mobile home park that you all agreed to move ahead on with East Herkimer too. That might truly support the your vote to that. We only want to support the large stress.
All right, I need a motion to accept the reuse. Diamonds, 10-day second discussion. All in favor aye. Opposed nay. Carried. 14 is Schuler Business Park.
I love the Schuler Business Park. I wish the drive-in was back.
Which side?
Earlier A, later on B. So the first one is to get out. So this is, once again, it's not a simple story because of what we're seeing with the water. We are having a meeting right after this with, I don't remember, what's today's? With them on water. Today's Skylar. Today's Skylar, tomorrow's Southfield. Okay, so with today's meeting, we'll have a better understanding. The Water Authority currently doesn't have a professional engineer to sign off on anything that needs to be done. So we really have to take a look, a step back and see what we can do as supporting engineers with Delta and B&L. B&L stepped up and bought the same software modeling, hydraulic modeling software that the Water Authority has that hasn't been updated in a couple of decades. We right now are reviewing everything to make sure where we're at. Our most recent letter of getting the approval for Home Depot / Bloom stated that we could not continue with development in that park. There will not be enough water to support any issues with fire unless we do a tank. We've done a fire tank already. Obviously, it wasn't big enough or in the right spot, even though we were told it was fine. And we were also told that we wouldn't need any of this additional support in the beginning, with the amount of water that we have. Well, that's all changing. So we really need to take a look at another tank in the park and put it at a higher elevation. Will most likely be in a wooded area above the park. And we really will need to utilize Delta to help support us with this project. So when we're talking about this, this is the fire storage water tank. And this is just from Delta to help support with the sizing, the placement, and working with the contractors, going out to bid for them to support us with this park and working with the water.
So this is the secondary, we're not kind of receiving the right support, so we were reaching out to Delta to enhance.
Well, what we're told is that Water Authority would never support us in type tank placement or what we would need.
Secondary,
This is the guy, I need an engineer. I can't do it. Neither can Mr. Bono. And we want to make sure that we have the right amount. So this is for them to do this before we put the tank in place or even go out to bid. We will have a firm letter from the Water Authority saying they will take over the tank and the connecting pipeline, because we're not in that business to maintain it. The town of Schuyler definitely isn't. They don't have their own water authority. They utilize more.
so last time that, I think we had a call right after the meeting, right?
Yeah,
What came out of that?
our meeting tomorrow. Our meeting today. Yeah, nothing.
Okay.
Nothing that we, I gave this example before. You know, I bought my dad a computer 20 years ago. We updated them, you know, just per se yesterday. The stuff that was on there 20 years ago isn't gonna run now.
Yeah.
There are some packages that can help that change. And we tried to explain that, correct, to B&L. And for some reason, they thought it was all gonna be magically fantastic, and it is not. Every data they get, we question. We come back with something else. They don't have the answer. We're hoping today we get something firmer from them. But I understand, you know, we want to do more investment in that area. And we were kind of told we could. Now we're very reluctant. We have to make sure before we invest any money from the ID in additional property. So we're not just saying yes, yes, yes to them. We are truly pushing back. And anyone can stay for that call at 10:30. It's it's crazy that they're just not. I think like any IT person, oh, don't worry about it, it can work. And then when it gets to that point, right, Jim? They're entering the data and they're not seeing it. It's not good. So we don't want to step ahead until we have this. However, we still need Delta. We know we're gonna need another tank in that park. Whatever the next buildings are that we'll talk about, larger ones, insurance demands that they have their own fire suppression anyways. However, when we spoke to, what kind of fire suppression do they want? Remember that? Dry. So that might not need that tank, but this tank might support some of the other things now too. We don't want to forget in the front, we'll have convenience, another trucking, some type of food processing, you know, so we just want to make sure that we're all leveled out with that. Did you guys know what I'm saying? I'm sorry.
No, I've asked about the dry fire suppression before, and I don't. I thought maybe that would help alleviate.
If they don't all won't do it.
When it
Right,
gets active.
I don't, yeah, I don't know how expensive
Any other comments, questions? Need a motion to, go ahead, Bill. Tim, second, and discussion. On favor, aye. Any opposed, nay. Carried. Change order request 3537 down.
As everything continues to move along, you know, times change, observance, SWIP, measuring the road, making sure all the conditions are in place. So it's just a standard change order for roads B and C. You know, they give you a cost estimate at one time, but we're looking to make sure that everything's done properly. They have dealt with our contractors and everything extensively. I have no reason to think that this isn't. I mean, I talk to them on a daily basis too, but we're looking at $5,400 just to continue on with roads B and C and make sure everything's proper.
Motion? No, I'm sorry, questions? Motion, please. Hold on a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Carried. Item 15, Village of Gold.
I like the fact that no one's on because we're kind of in executive session and everybody in this room, I don't have a problem sharing this with. So when we go to other communities and deal with their wastewater or water treatment facilities, their engineers have a sense of comfort with certain engineering firms. So we are kind of tied to B&L in this case, only because of that. If we wanted to bring in a new engineering firm to do something, it doesn't go easy and there's a lot of resistance from the local operator. And that's the person you want on your side, because if you don't have them, that project, it's very difficult to continue on. I would like to move ahead with this water study. This is going to help with bringing the additional water needed to Dolgeville to support the harvest facility. However, down the road, this could be tapped to and really open up some other avenues for us, but we are only presenting this right now for that facility. I would like it voted on as a contingency that we have a good meeting tomorrow, because I'm not going to go ahead with this if I don't like the results of our meeting tomorrow. There's things in the Little Falls plant that needed to be addressed a long time ago that wasn't. And and everybody looks at us like we're supposed to help support all these extra things, and we're not gonna. Their first resolve for this was to come to us with another reservoir that needed a new dam, and we were gonna bring untreated water here and then have to treat it. I'm like, where are you coming up with these things? We're not a cash cow, unintended. No, there really wasn't pun intended. But we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. And it's 5 miles to bring treated water to this facility, or it's 3 miles to bring untreated water, and then we have to deal with that. And then anyone along that way cannot use this water. So globally thinking, and plus we went to meet with other people in the state about additional funding for this too, for the water. So I'd like it, I don't know, Tony, how to say it, contingent upon our meeting tomorrow that we'll move ahead with this, or?
I would move on it, subject to the discretion of the chairman and the CEO.
I like that idea, right, Jimmy? Are you okay with that?
Or are you gonna negotiate what we're going to, basically, you're gonna divide, you don't want to, the IDA to be responsible or, have us pay for deferred maintenance or whatnot. You're negotiating.
Exactly.
Basically, and it's said in an eloquent way.
Yeah. If I was that municipal engineer, I'd be doing the same thing. Wouldn't you? If you could go to the IDA needs water, we're gonna look at this route. If I can tack on these other 10 things, I'd do it too. But I don't think they realize we know, and Delta's already said, what are you doing? So I think this is better than.
So are we using a grant, John, to get the pieces associated with this? Or
No.
Seeking out any grant?
Not for this part, no, but we will be for the water transmission line. The problem is if we seek out a grant for the engineering, it won't happen for quite a period of time. And we do have resources enough to spend on this as well right now. And you can't go back. So if I win, when we do win, I shouldn't say win, when we do win the money to put in that water transmission line over, they won't allow us to go back and pay back.
Right.
And this is about 50,000.
Well, that's the way it's starting now. It's,
Yeah.
40,
27.
yeah. Yeah, so 49, but I know that's a lot of money the way it sits right now. However, after our discussions, and I'll tell you one thing too, if it goes a little sideways or something, we'll be calling a meeting anyways with everybody. So everybody needs to be in there.
It is a little pricey, but the project that it's in support. Probably it is the largest, in my memory, the largest monetary project that the county has ever had, 180 to 200 million, when it's all said and done, probably, is a huge project. Not to mention the jobs and the amount of tender loans it's going to create.
There's a lot of moving parts with this.
Okay.
So we already approved the sewer study too. That once again, Barton and Judy's is a part of it. We haven't been able to settle meeting yet. It's really crazy. but they're part of that, and that's a different group that's coming right through the Baldwin sewer plant, which thank God is gravity fed down to it, but there's things that have to happen.
There's the advertising, there's the sewer study, there's this. Right?
Yeah,
Ever had this? Okay.
yeah,
Sorry,
that's
I
part of
just
it.
don't remember if there.
Yeah, there'll be more as far as you know, with the impact study and what other things, you know,
Oh, and that's right.
the impact study will affect, a hotel study possibly, not only for there, but our county, will impact our venue study that's currently going on. You know, they look at these captive markets, and right now, we don't know where that is, so.
Okay, the motion. Yeah, thank you, Tim, for being independent. Second, ask around. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Nay? Here, warehouse development. item 16.
There's really not a lot of issue with this. We're just terminating that. They never took property tax. So they only took, sales tax and mortgage reporting tax. So they're, the rate now, they can get a lot better for them to move on this, selling this warehouse. So Westlake Development, who built it, Mark Shattuck, found a buyer, came in, wanting to buy the property and continue to lease it to Pepsi. So there's, the only people making money on this are the attorneys.
What to say to that?
It's the
This
truth.
is what we like to happen. They fulfill their project obligations, there's no pilot in play. Moving on.
Need a motion. Corey, thanks, and second discussion.
I'm left off from the present. And you weren't here then.
Oh, no. Well, we'll change all of that. Well, that's all right. You can.
We got word, we'll
go
leave it in.
All in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay? No, carry.
Stacy's on it, Tim, just so you know.
Item 17 was taken care of. Item 18, the Masonic Building.
Yeah. Well, we don't,
I don't know what John's gonna say about the building yet. That's why I'm-
we're not buying it right now. We need to do some additional study. There's not gonna be a way really that the gentleman, after we come back with everything, will take it over. It's gonna go up for the in-rem process in this year. In fact, we're having a meeting on it Thursday afternoon, right? So Thursday afternoon. I'm just thinking we want to keep everything moving ahead. It would be made public 5 days later anyways. I don't see it, unless you see something that I'm not seeing, that somebody's gonna swoop in.
I don't know. I know that in the documents, it references that we'll take it over onto the property that we're looking to acquire, although the material is due diligence material that we're voting on. So I don't know. I guess it's more of a question than me.
We look to you.
Sorry.
There are no negotiations at this point in time, correct?
Correct.
It is on the county's public role of in-rem proceedings, correct?
So it would only really come into that realm of we were negotiating.
I think the only recourse from the owner would be if he went back in and paid, what, 3 times the amount that he was owed.
He's gonna have 90 days post whatever to go in and redeem and move things.
He would probably report one of the things.
He would have to go in front of the judge, yes.
Okay, that's fine. I just didn't understand. and I-
No, that's a good point. No, very good.
All right, I need a motion.
Yeah, this is the hazmat survey we need to move ahead with.
Even if it's only a survey, it's not a remediation.
Right.
Right. Yes.
Around 3,000. Okay, motion by Ian, second. Discussion. All in favor, aye. Those names here. Item 19, Project Jefferson.
We did not receive everything from council. I keep being told the same thing, that I guess the end of December is different than any month with these attorneys. That's a little busier, I guess. I don't know. But as soon as we get something on Project Jefferson, we'll bring it to the board, but we all know it's the last 15 acres in the park. Can't figure out why they're calling it Project Jefferson. I think it's their favorite president, but we'll move it.
So you gonna put a hold on that?
Yes.
It's on hold. Item 20. Charlestown, now,
So I sent an email to the county saying, why aren't we looking at taking this over? And I did not receive any emails back other than County Administrator Wallet saying, yeah, we should look into this. But the other people on that email did not reply. I think because of now where it's at with the EPA, that we really should look to take this in as a county and look to market this site.
Yes. Well, type of, it's your field, John.
Well, because of what just happened with the state and the way that they're gonna be looking for storage of alternative storage methods for power. And how the proximity of this site to the large substation right there. This truly would be an excellent site for storage, for battery storage, for electricity. We also haven't pushed it with, we met with the bus, Central Bus. They're looking through it for a new bus station. This would also be an excellent location for that. We're gonna have a meeting with properties tomorrow or Thursday afternoon. I plan on bringing this up to them. I don't believe the current owner has paid any taxes in a while on this. However, he's still the record owner and he has worked out something with the EPA, but we are gonna have a follow-up meeting with the EPA on this.
Central Bus. On that property.
I can't answer that.
It is, why would we give that fine piece of land?
We wouldn't give it, we would sell it after we got it.
All right, why would we sell it and then it becomes tax exempt?
Well, I don't know the answer to that question.
I just envision that piece because of the proximity.
Well, if you put battery storage on there, you're gonna have nice taxes. You're gonna have very nice taxes that'll be paid. They'll be monitoring, but not as many job creation. Now you have a brownfield. And as we saw today earlier with Warrior Solar, it's difficult on certain brownfields. They did not remove any of the slab that's down there for the buildings. So housing could be, no, definitely no, unless you removed all the slabs and saw where the contamination is and how far down. Could you put some kind of business there? You know, it's a good location right off of 5S. We could look towards that too. I'm just saying we don't want to negate that we do have a kind of a good opportunity for it, and they do pay taxes. So that would be something to think about. So it's not going to sit there idle, and it would be cleaned up. And there is still one building up there too. That's up there.
All Herkimer County or?
No,
90%.
So it is.
but it's not a lot over on that side. And what I would do is I would approach Oneida County and work with Ash to get that all.
Is it still gonna be divided between Herkimer and?
No, Pete, as I just said, we'd work with Oneida County to get all of that put into Herkimer County.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean,
It would make it easier.
They always speak, remember they took over a little bit of.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
We should trade out.
I don't think anybody there would say no to something like that.
Yeah, right. That'd be good. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
I just see jobs that, more than, I mean, that's how you should say, create jobs.
Well, it's also
Economic
sustainable.
development.
It's everything.
Well, we could look at it, yeah. Okay, so.
As a county, though, you have to decide if you're gonna step up and do it first, and we can talk more about that on the properties meeting. Because if that's the case, then the first thing we need to do is collectively meet with the EPA, which we have a great relationship with, and also Chuck Schumer. And they have the ability for a not-for-profit or a government agency to waive any past fees. And so that would be huge to get that.
Some liability, like EPA or.
Well, it would-
DOC, like, Union Tool Site.
There's always liability.
Yeah, but they sort of relinquish that from us, right? Or the village.
No,
I remember.
well, there's no they never owned it. So whoever, Union Tool has always owned it, so they'll never lose liability and they'll always have to be monitored. Now, could we take a PO? Could we buy that property? Remember, we talked with HRP. We can buy it with certain contingencies on the purchase order or on the purchase of the property, but it would still always have to be monitored. And if it started migrating off, we would work to get that cleaned up or stabilized.
I recall at a meeting where the plan for the DEC said that when it's remediated, that they would absolve, if the village would take it over, would absolve them of any liability.
Well, dual fold,
Going forward, and then, you know, the past liability, past
yeah,
liability.
well, the dual fold, Ilion will have no liability, but however, someone can always sue you for that. But that's not the case. It traces back to the original. But we also had ownership in that building back in the day because we did a pilot there, and back then we did the same thing like what we did for Quackenbush. So when you really trace back the history, we're there too. But we won't have that contamination liability to it, but are we in the chain? Could we still be brought in? Of course. Everybody can always be brought in.
So if we purchase it or are we able to use this Superfund program or no? Would we do?
Yes, but what we would rather do in that case is, so depending upon what tax credits are available, so we would most likely look towards the developer because we really don't utilize tax credits. So we would more or less want to utilize with a developer, either a brownfield cleanup if it wasn't complete, or some other types of tax credits there that would help support that developer to come in and build whatever they want to build. So.
It's already cleaned up, you know?
Yeah, they did a nice job.
So it just makes sense to.
Was solar gonna go there?
And part of it still is, yeah, but they were sold out to Michael Jackson.
So at what point do we maybe recommend something along the lines of like a use study similar to the East Shore School? Is that what you?
No, similar to the dual fold.
Well, do both as well, right? So at what point do we recommend that that's done?
When the county says, yes, we have a very big interest in this, then we sit down as two counties and decide if we move ahead with this, are you gonna just turn it over to us? We'll also deal with Hodgkin Russ.
The city. The city's got to sign off on it. Oneida County, I mean, it would be, yeah, and I think it's gotta be between the town and the city first. Really, the counties are out of it. right?
Well, no,
So they're
because
not
it's
gonna
in
make
Rams.
annexation.
I don't think they've taken it, but it could be tomorrow. So Oneida County would deal with it only for the land swap. If we took that, different story. And the town of Frankfurt would have to agree, yes, we'll take this in part of our town. But that's not, I don't see that being an issue. As long as neither one of them have liability.
Well, it's prime, I mean, we've been looking for prime property on the line or close to the line, although it seems like it has to be lit, it's not anything. that's helpful.
Well, he's done.
Yeah.
So I can see that.
Okay.
I think it's a great.
Okay, Charlestown is on the front burner, I guess, on the stove. Okay, we'll look forward to that. Comments by elected officials. Somebody small, want to start?
Please, thank you, Chairman. Three quick things. It's a legislative session is about to crank up in Albany. There's been some talk about a special session to raise legislative pay. That hasn't materialized. But the budget itself, the indicators are out there. The governor has indicated that they're not going to raise taxes on the highest earners. But the budget itself, you know, since I've been in the assembly, has went from 170 to $220 billion. A lot of it's federal money that's going away. So to close the gap between the current spending and the appetite for spending, there has to be some sort of there's a delta there. There's a difference that has to be made up. And I have some suspicion that they just passed the climate action council draft scoping plan, got voted out. It's got to be voted on. But then in order to pay for it, you've got to do something. I think it's a fossil fuel tax. There's a couple of bills out there that tax fossil fuels, gasoline, diesel, natural gas, propane, and fuel oil, which primarily fall on upstate residents and businesses. So you just push to go towards all electric buildings, no more natural gas hookups, et cetera, et cetera. But that might be the mechanism to raise anywhere between $8 million to allow that level of spending going forward. Sort of thing. That's bad news for upstate New York. It's bad news for business in upstate New York. I'll keep everybody posted on that. Two things. Thanks so much for the brownfields developer support. And the reason is that I've noticed, just in my 4 years in the legislature, some communities have a lot of success in returning resources through state and federal grant processes, sort of thing. Notably, my hometown of Gloversville, it's really hit it hard over the last period of time, and it's great to see that I think Herkimer is on the same sheet of music with that in terms of using all those monies to get the process set up so shovel-ready sites can be developed. It's really heartening to see. Last thing, thank you on the processing plant equation. That's coming along nicely because it's a huge gap in New York State's agriculture communities, the ability to process. And if you build it, they're going to come from all around, from a much wider radius than planned. I've got farmers that talk to me about having to go to Pennsylvania to process. It's absolutely ridiculous. You spend hours moving down, and then then the product has to go into different distribution chains and everything else. This will make us much more competitive in this area. I know it's been a long process. So those were the three items. Thank you very much. Great to catch up with everybody on what's going on. Merry Christmas.
Any questions?
The thing that Assemblyman Smolin spoke about with the climate change, I gave Erin the article this morning. She's going to send it out to all of them. Gives you really a good rundown of what we're looking at. And it is amazing how there's no, they don't say how this is going to be funded, but it's, we were
It's
talking
taxes
to.
and rate increases on electricity.
Yeah, that's
If we
what's.
fully electrify the economy, rates will go up, rates will double, electricity will double.
Well, after we're all elected.
just wanted to compliment you on the shirt. that you picked it
Yeah.
Milk to come.
Have you taken it off since Christmas party or?
I have actually 2 others.
Oh.
Before we go to,
In the closet just for Christmas.
before we go to project updates,
I know.
take a vote on who's got the best time. Tony Allen.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Tony.
Tony's a little more color, thank you.
I can just say Tony's worn that every year since he's been on.
I like the consistency.
Apparently it still wins.
John Piesick.
I have a great memory.
Oh, Tony wins.
So,
All right,
But
let's go to.
Tony enhances with the socks. I'm just gonna throw
Oh,
it out there.
Oh, I'm not wearing socks.
no, I do have a lot of.
Let's go to updates.
Yellow.
Weekend
That's what I'm
updates.
saying, that's what's pretty.
Thank you for noticing.
You're very welcome. Very tuned.
Take it away.
Okay, so the water transmission line, we do have a meeting coming up on that. We'll keep everybody posted. We will not move ahead with applying for any more grants or order the pipeline until we get a couple more answers given. But it should be close. So we'll let everybody know what's going on with that. 2023 meeting dates, we're gonna do something different. Victoria's gonna send them out. Plus, we're gonna do calendar invites as well. Make sure Tony's on that too, the calendar invite. We want to do that, and so we'll have updates, and so we can make sure we get a quorum and everybody's well aware of that. Hopefully, everybody brought back their board evaluations. If you did not, Victoria has another one that you can fill out. It's kept very secret. I look at everyone and judge your handwriting, just so you know. Mohawk Valley Edge, today is our Christmas meeting. It's at the 5 Points in Utica. I was told that they're gonna put me on the executive committee. I'm excited about that. That should let us at least involved with some of the other things. I like all the projects that are going on. I don't think we'll ever be a chip county. However, I would love for us to work on some type of packaging or something else that can be tied into that. Edge has been excellent to work with. I bounce a lot of things off of Steve. We have conversations all the time. So we're not gonna vacation yet. We're not that close, but we are getting along. So my wife wants to go on a biking cruise that they go on all the time.
Haven't you already been voted on?
No, that happened, I think, well, in some cases, yeah, but I think today was formal. Sun East, one of our solar companies here, we had a conversation, or I had a conversation with them last week. They were acquired by another firm. They will be closing and starting all 4 of their projects in the first quarter with the new ownership. So let's take a look at that. Those are $25 million projects, all 4 of them. So that's nice for the agency. Also, they are looking to put one new project in, a 25 megawatt project on a farm on Miller's Grove Road. So that one should be moving ahead. ELG, the company in Herkimer and Frankfurt, and not anymore in Utica, but you do see their building. They are moving through with purchasing the surrounding land. They're gonna have about 25 acres for development there. We're gonna work with them. Plus, they're gonna sell the building in Frankfurt. They've already picked out a realtor. We don't believe that'll take long for the building. Stacy did find the drawings, so we're very excited about that. That just helps the process. So we'll be bringing some project to that. I'm positive shortly. We talked about the climate vote passing. The only other thing that I don't need to go into executive session about would be the Wilcor tax situation. That's not specific to Wilcor, but in general, during COVID and supply chain issues, a lot of the things couldn't be acquired at a certain time. And we know that we thought we would have to extend something. I'm wondering where Tony is with that, because it's been about a 6-month time.
Well, going back and forth with Brian Silva and ETG, it's not a guarantee, but their recommendation on that is to with the language of the project, I can treat that as part of the project because they haven't exhausted their benefit, and it was project designated during the appropriate time. So we are going to authorize the extension of the benefit. Wilcor hasn't paid the sales tax, and they'll be responsible for paying it should it not work out.
So when will we have your opinion letter, and when will Wilcor be notified, and when can we expect to see that?
I spoke with counsel for 2 days ago to discuss going through this. As far as my opinion letter, I have not had time to draft such an opinion letter that will not come until next year. And I plan on a resolution at the next board meeting to bring that this.
Will it be Wilcor specific or project specific? Or will it be a general opinion that if there's been supply chain issues that we can extend this with other projects?
It was intended to be Wilcor specific, but if you want something a little bit broader, I suppose I could do, I would like to keep it on a case by case basis, because this was an instance where this was something that was clearly intended, it was part of the original project scope. It was invoiced and ordered and didn't show up until outside the window. There's another way to handle it in talking to other IDAs, and that is to change the language in our project documents, making it almost an indefinite period of contemplating it at the onset.
That kind of leaves it wide open.
It does.
And we'd have to really monitor the documents that would show deadlines and why it didn't come in that time. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think so, instead of a broad stroke. My opinion only, but once again,
Well, that's my initial.
once we get your opinion on it, that would be important to follow up with that. Okay.
The way that it was handled, at least up in the western here, is project is not deemed to be complete until that last line is essentially received. So it's indefinite, but it's not, it's a completion of receipt of equipment.
The state doesn't look at it that way, though. We know that. They frown on everything we do because we are bringing benefits and jobs and all of these other things. They've had so much corruption downstate that they accuse us all of doing the same thing. However, to move ahead, I really think we need that opinion. Well, just executive session when we can. Property sales, legal advice.
Anything for the organization? Last chance. Okay, motion to go to executive session. Squad, second, Dan. Thank you very much.
It shouldn't be.
Before I forget, I have to, termination.